facts you might not know. From the biggest flops to the greatest hits, this is Trash Can Tidbits.
What's up, everyone? This is Trash Can Tidbits, and I'm your host for the week, Keaton. Welcome back to the show. Last week, I asked the question, which singer used a photo taken by a Game Boy camera for his album cover? The answer is Neil Young. The photo in question is of Young's daughter, Amber, and it was the cover art for his album Silver and Gold, which was released in 2000. Now, without address, let's get started with fact number 1. Did you know that the character of Joey from Friends has a connection to one of the show's stars in real life? On the show, Joey is a cast member of a fictionalized version of the soap opera Days of Our Lives. In real life, Jennifer Aniston's father, John Aniston, has been a cast member of the real Days of Our Lives since 1969, and just like Joey, has played 2 different characters. John continues to be a regular on Days of Our Lives, recently having been nominated for an Emmy in 2017. Fact 2. Did you know that rising actor Paul Walter Hauser has appeared in 2 movies where there's some sort of controversy involving the Olympics? His breakout role was that of Tonya Harding's bodyguard, Sean Eckhart, in I, Tonya, who infamously used a nightstick on Harding's ice skating opponent, Nancy Kerrigan. A year after I, Tonya, Hauser played the title character in Clint Eastwood's film Richard Jewell, which was about a security guard who saved the lives of spectators from a bombing during the 1996 Atlanta Olympics and was falsely accused as the main suspect. Ironically, talk show host Jay Leno ridiculed Jewell on The Tonight Show that year by comparing him to Eckhart. Fact 3. Did you know that Michael Keaton's reading of his famous line from Batman, "I'm Batman," that has now become a staple of the character, was ad-libbed? In the opening scene where Batman fights a couple of thugs and dangles one of them from the roof, he was actually supposed to say, "I am the Knight." Instead, Keaton now improvised the now iconic line, "I'm Batman." The "I am the Knight" part was later added by Kevin Conroy for Batman the Animated Series, which is obviously where we get, "I am vengeance, I am the Knight, I am Batman." The upcoming movie The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson as the Dark Knight, will indeed restore the original scripted line from Tim Burton's film, "I am the Knight." Fact 4. Did you know that voice acting legend Frank Welker has been the voice of Fred from Scooby-Doo for almost the entire franchise? There have been only 3 times that I know of that he hasn't played Fred. The first was for A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, where all the gang were children, though Frank still played Fred's dad and other characters. The second was for the live-action movies, both theatrical and direct-to-video, where he was either played by Freddie Prinze Jr. or Robbie Amell. And the third was for the recent animated movie Scoob. Nevertheless, whether he's playing Fred, a miscellaneous side character, or even Scooby himself, Welker has been a part of every iteration of Scooby-Doo, and he has no plans to stop. That's incredible. Fact 5. Did you know that Final Fantasy X was the first game in the series not to be entirely scored by series mainstay Nobuo Uematsu? In addition to Uematsu, 2 other composers worked on the game's soundtrack, Masashi Hamauzu and Junya Nakano. Additionally, the game was the first time Uematsu had written a death metal piece, Otherworld, which was performed by Till I Die, a metal band popular in Japan at the time. Uematsu in total contributed 51 tracks to the game's soundtrack. Hamauzu wrote 20 tracks, and Nakano wrote 18. Fact 6. Did you know that one draft of the script for Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade would have seen a rather important character to Indy be introduced in the film's prologue? The film's opening is notable for showing Indy as a teenager and how he gets his hat and his fear of snakes, among other milestones. The leader of the fortune-hunting team who gives Indy his hat is listed in the end credits as being named Fedora, but in the script, his real name is revealed to be Abner Ravenwood. That also happens to be the name of a character that was mentioned but never seen in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Abner was the father of Indy's original and best love interest, Marion Ravenwood, who was revealed to have died by the time the adventure in that movie got started. Fact 7. Did you know that Danny DeVito got to interact with a certain particular extra in 2 of his movies in the same year? In the 1992 movie Hoffa, which Danny directed and starred in one scene, a government official is searching for documents in Jimmy Hoffa's office. DeVito's character, Bobby Chiaro, discovers him and promptly kicks the guy out of the office. That character was played by an actor named Steve Whitting. That same year, in Batman Returns, Whitting returns in a more significant part. He plays Josh, a campaign assistant who has the misfortune of nearly having his nose bitten off by the Penguin. So, Whitting has had the honor of being assaulted by Danny DeVito on film twice. Fact 8. Did you know that Julie Andrews was almost, keyword almost, turned down for The Sound of Music? Believe it or not, by the time casting was getting underway for the film, Mary Poppins had finished filming but wasn't released yet. There were concerns that Andrew wasn't photogenic enough for the big screen. For that reason, director Robert Wise and screenwriter Ernest Lehman went to Disney to see footage of Andrews. And after only a few minutes, Wise turned to Lehman and said, "We'd better get out of here before someone else finds her first." That was all it took. Fact 9. Did you know that one original idea the makers of Toy Story had was for Woody and Buzz Lightyear to be played by an older and a younger actor, respectively? Woody was originally going to be played by Paul Newman, and Jim Carrey was going to play Buzz, in reference to the fact that Buzz was coming into Andy's room and taking over Woody's position as favorite toy. Very much an allegory for how older actors like Paul Newman were being phased out in favor of younger, funnier actors like Jim Carrey. Fortunately, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen were chosen to play the characters instead. Paul Newman would go on to play Doc Hudson in Pixar's Cars, which would be his final role before his death in 2006. Fact 10. Did you know that the DS version of the first Resident Evil game, Deadly Silence, is the only game in the series where you can play as most of the other members of the STARS team? Most of the side characters of STARS Team Alpha are injured or dead in the regular game. The DS version includes a multiplayer option where most of the Alpha team is alive for you to play as. So characters such as Kenneth Sullivan, Richard Aiken, and Forrest Spire are playable characters. The only characters that do not appear are Joseph Frost, Brad Vickers, and Edward Dewey, as they don't have in-game models and/or do not appear in the game. And here's this week's trivia question. Mortal Kombat 4 was the first 3D game in the series, but also the last game in the main series to be released in the arcades. Mortal Kombat 3 amped up the gameplay by including finishing moves like Animalities and Babalities. Those finishing moves, however, didn't make the transition to 3D. My question to you is, how come Animalities and Babalities didn't transfer from Mortal Kombat 3 to Mortal Kombat 4? And there we go for this week. I hope everyone's been enjoying these lists. Definitely stay tuned for more. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell for future video notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.